In the late 1800s, the Arctic was one of the last unknown places in the world. A frozen hell, a place that swallowed ships, explorers, and whole expeditions without a trace. The North Pole was the prize that many explorers were after. In 1897, one man believed that he found the perfect way to travel in the Arctic. This is the story of Salomon Andrée in one of the most ambitious but tragic expeditions in polar history. In the late 1800s, the world was obsessed with polar exploration. Britain, Norway, Sweden, and the United States were all racing to the Arctic. Expeditions pushed farther every year. The Arctic was brutal. Wooden ships were crushed by ice. Men would get scurvy. They froze, starved, or vanished entirely. André was a Swedish engineer, physicist, and aeronaut. He was born in 1854. He was fascinated by technology and believed that human ingenuity could overcome nature no matter how hostile. Unlike other Arctic explorers, André had little experience traveling over polar ice. He had something else, though. He was convinced that the future of exploration would come from the air. André proposed using a hydrogen balloon to float from northern Sweden across the Arctic and over the North Pole. He believed the Arctic winds were stable and had predictable patterns. If he launched at the right moment, the balloon would be carried safely across the polar region. Modern meteorology would later prove this assumption wrong, but in the 1890s, this science did not yet exist. Still, André was convincing. His idea captured the public's imagination. Newspapers across Europe praised André as a visionary. He gained backing, most notably from King Oscar II of Sweden, wealthy private donors, and the Royal Swedish Academy of Sciences. The balloon was named Örnen, Swedish for the eagle. It was enormous, over 20 meters tall, filled with hydrogen gas, capable of carrying 3 men, scientific instruments, cameras, food, and supplies for several months. Hanging beneath the balloon was a small wicker gondola exposed to the Arctic elements. Unlike modern balloons, André believed he could steer the balloon with a system of sails and long guide ropes that dragged along the ice or water below, creating friction. For the 1897 expedition, 2 men would accompany André, Niels Strindberg as photographer and Knut Frenkel, engineer. André's first attempt was in 1896. Accompanying him was Niels Strindberg and Niels Gustav Ekholm. The expedition traveled to Danes Island near Svalbard. They waited for the perfect wind, but it never came. Weeks passed, supplies ran low, and their hydrogen leaked. Eventually, André was forced to abandon this attempt. Many hoped this failure would end the expedition, but instead it hardened André's resolve. By the time André prepared for a second launch in 1897, the balloon leaked hydrogen constantly, and the guide rope system had never been tested in Arctic conditions. On the morning of July 11, 1897, the winds finally shifted. The balloon was inflated, the 3 men climbed on board, and the Eagle rose slowly into the sky. Below, the crew at Danes Island watched as the balloon drifted northward. From the moment the balloon left the ground, things went wrong. The guide ropes began twisting and falling away one by one, unscrewing from their holds. By the end of the first day, most of the steering system was gone. Without the ropes, the Eagle was drifting, completely at the mercy of the wind. They dumped ballast to keep the balloon from hitting the water. At times, it skimmed dangerously close to the ice. At others, it climbed higher than expected, at over 2,000 feet, exposing the men to brutal cold. Hydrogen leaked from the balloon's seams. Ice formed on its fabric, adding weight, and the men worked non-stop, dumping ballast, cutting away ice, and trying to stabilize the balloon. The men used buoys and homing pigeons to contact the outside world. Only 2 buoys were ever found. Both were sent shortly after takeoff on July 11th. The first one reads,
"Our journey goes well so far. We sail at an altitude of about 250 meters. At first, north 10 degrees east, but later, north 45 degrees east. Weather delightful. Spirits high."
The other gave the height at 600 meters or 2,000 feet. Inside the gondola, conditions were miserable. The men were exposed to sub-zero temperatures, wind chill, constant dampness. Their clothing froze solid, and their food became rock hard. Simple tasks took enormous effort. Andrée logged their position using celestial navigation when the weather allowed. At first, the balloon drifted northeast, but the winds shifted south, then west, then back east again. Rather than moving steadily towards the North Pole, the Eagle was wandering aimlessly over the ocean. After 2.5 days in the air, the balloon could no longer stay aloft. On July 14, 1897, the Eagle was forced down to the ice. Miraculously, all 3 men survived. They were stranded hundreds of miles from land on drifting ice with no rescue possible. The balloon was now useless. Andrée, Strindberg, and Frenkel quickly realized that they would have to walk to safety. They salvaged what they could: food, stoves, rifles, ammunition, scientific instruments, cameras, and journals. The balloon was abandoned. The men set off, either Franz Josef Land or Svalbard, hundreds of miles away. They loaded supplies onto sleds, and after a week camped at the balloon, they began dragging them across the ice. What they encountered was worse than they imagined. The ice was a maze of pressure ridges, freezing water, and shifting ice flows. Every step forward was often undone by drifting ice, carrying them back overnight. The men were not prepared for this kind of travel. Their clothes remained constantly wet. Frostbite was a constant threat. Despite the situation, Andrée continued to maintain a tone of optimism in his journal. He believed rescue was still possible. They had pemmican, sausage, meats, cheese, and condensed milk, but food supplies dwindled. The men hunted, mainly polar bears, seals, and walruses. Progress was painfully slow. The ice was unpredictable, sometimes carrying them miles away from their intended route. Eventually, Andrée decided reaching Franz Josef Land seemed impossible. They would instead aim for White Island, Kvitoya, a remote ice-covered island. It was a desperate choice, but it was their only chance. As summer turned to autumn, temperatures dropped further. Their bodies were weak. In early October of 1897, after nearly 3 months on the drifting ice, Andrée, Strindberg, and Frenkel finally reached land. It was a place few humans had ever seen before. a frozen, desolate island at the very edge of the Arctic. Andrée wrote in his diary,
"Morale remains good. With such comrades, one should be able to manage under, I may say, any circumstances."
The men set up a small camp near the shoreline. Their strength was almost gone, and the temperatures continued to fall as winter approached. Andrée continued writing in his journal. He noted weather conditions, food supplies, and daily routines. Andrée's final entry on October 8th read,
"It feels fine to be able to sleep here on fast land as a contrast with the drifting ice out upon the ocean, where we constantly heard the cracking, grinding, and din. We shall have to gather driftwood and bones of whales, and will have to do some moving around when the weather permits."
What happened at White Island has been debated for over a century. The men likely died within days or weeks of arriving. Several theories attempt to explain the final moments of the men. Theory 1, hypothermia. The most straightforward explanation. The men were exhausted. Their clothes were worn and damp. They had little shelter. Once temperatures dropped and the men stopped moving, survival may have been impossible. Theory 2, starvation. Hunting in late autumn would be difficult. Starvation would weaken the men's bodies and their ability to regulate heat, making hypothermia even more deadly. Theory 3, trichinosis. One of the most widely accepted theories involves a parasitic disease caused by eating undercooked polar bear meat. Symptoms include severe muscle pain, weakness, fever, and organ failure. Theory 4, carbon monoxide poisoning from their stove, used inside of the tent. After 1897, the Arctic swallowed the expedition. Search efforts found nothing. Over time, Andrée's expedition faded into legend, lost forever. Then, in August of 1930, a Norwegian sealing vessel landed on White Island, which was unusually free from ice. Crew members stumbled upon Andrée's boat, locked in the ice. A crew was sent to search the site. They found supplies, 2 skeletons, and journals. Later searchers uncovered a third body and additional artifacts, including a box containing Strindberg's film, his logbook, and maps. When the film was developed, the world was stunned. Photographs emerged of the balloon on the ice, the men hauling sleds, and the Arctic stretching off in every direction. Images taken by men who knew that they might never return. The remains of the 3 men were brought back to Sweden. Their bodies were cremated and laid to rest. Andrée believed the Arctic could be conquered by innovation, but the Arctic proved otherwise. In the end, the ice kept their secret for over 3 decades before finally telling the world what happened. I want to thank y'all for watching, folks. I hope you enjoyed, and we will see you on the next. Peace.